So hello and welcome everybody. Very good to see you. We've got Holly Ellison, John Moloney and Kev Orkian. I'm not sure whether everybody sees it the same way as I see it, but thank you all very much indeed for joining us. What is the second BFF chat with performers, part of our 21st anniversary celebrations, and it's really lovely to see you as always. The last one was it was a dodgy group, to be honest. So you know, all the rules are we do put a language warning before we go. But you lot are.
Hello, Ben. Ben, yeah,
yeah.
I've just heard from Mark Cann. Yeah, he said you guys were useless. Just to give you the heads up.
And what a group we have, actually, because I was just trying to look at. I mean, I think Kev, you probably have the leader, but you have all between you done a hell of a lot of gigs for the BFF.
Yeah,
for which immense gratitude. But God, we've got some memories, and they can't be bad because I wouldn't have booked you again. So I wouldn't have asked you to do this.
but yeah, do you know what? I've just been thinking when you said about how many gigs we've done with the BFF. My first ever gig was actually with John and Kev.
Oh, where?
If you remember when you made us drive in the back of a van for 12 hours, Mark.
Yes. More on that later. I might get a chance to explain myself. But what have you been up to recently?
I've been doing lots of songwriting. I mean, it's been on Zoom, which hasn't been the best, really. I like to be in the studio and stuff, but I mean, it's all about adapting, isn't it? And being proactive in what we can do. When one door closes, you know, you've got to find another door. But yeah, it's all looking really good, to be fair.
And stay positive.
Yeah.
It has been so brutal for everybody in the entertainment.
I know.
I don't shy away from emphasizing that point. Now, you know, you're far too young to even be thinking about a jab, Holly. But John, you've just come in from yours.
Yes, I've just had my AstraZeneca, and I'm picking up Jupiter apparently, and 5G. So yeah, every time I walk past a telegraph pole, I sort of feel myself drawn towards it. Now I'm fine. Apparently, the side effects won't be until tomorrow, which apparently one of them is erectile dysfunction. So I'll just pretend that it's the jab. I don't know if I'm possibly allowed to say that or not, but no, yeah, I've just come in from the jab, and I just like Holly and Kev and others, I've been locked down, done a few Zoom gigs. Started writing the next series of the Radio 4 show. Can't believe I'm up to series 5 now. I can't even believe we've got series 1, to be honest, but there we are.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah, so we're just writing. I'm writing that. That's got to be ready for October. Some gigs look like they're coming back in the autumn. For a couple of clubs have been calling and asking for availability. So I like the others here, I'm beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been crazy that today is the first day that I walked out of my front gate since the 2nd of December. Wow. And obviously, and I've been commando. I've gone commando for 3 months as well, so that was weird.
Remind me, John, what your radio. I should have said stage, screen, and airways earlier. But remind me what your radio show's called.
Well, rather imaginatively, it's called the John Moloney Show. Okay. And, so we thought we could go for something radical. So yeah, I've had
on Radio 4.
It's on Radio 4. Yeah, I've had a series a year for the last 5 years, and hopefully that will continue. And if it doesn't, fair enough, I'll have had a good run at it. But it's been good fun to do something which isn't just live stand-up. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and life is okay.
And Kev, are you? How are you doing? How's life been? You've got a busy family going on and all that.
My wife broke her ankle in May of last year, and the day she broke her ankle to today, she's still in a wheelchair, unfortunately, due to the fact that she broke 3 bones, the tibia and fibia, and one of the bones just didn't heal at all. So they were wondering if it was a bone density issue and this and that, whatever. But I'm not going to go into that. But unfortunately, because of that, and because we were in COVID, and because we were in lockdown, and because of everything else, I ended up having to take a ton of weight on my shoulders with trying to work and do these like Zoom calls to bring a little bit of money in, and at the same time trying to look after the family with breakfast, lunch and dinner, all the washing, the ironing, the cooking, the cleaning, everything as well on top of that. So it's been a bit of a nightmare for me, to be honest with you, but at the end of the day, you've always got to smile and you've always got to count your blessings. So that's kind of how I've got through it, really.
But go on, Holly, talk about that show we did, and I'll try and get the picture up while you're talking. Your impressions of that. Was that your first gig for us, the Estonia trip?
It was, and to be honest, I was quite nervous because when I got like the email over, I was told that we were to cross 4 borders in like 48 hours or something crazy, and I was thinking like, I've never done a gig like this before. You know, let's just see how it goes. It's going to be for our troops. Like, how amazing is that going to be? And then I was sandwiched in between these two at the bottom, telling me jokes the whole time. And we slept, and we were just, I mean, we were woken up by a near car crash death, thanks to Mark Cann. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I think we went from Estonia to Latvia or somewhere. Yeah. However, the third one we crossed, do you remember we all had to get out with our passports, and it was like something off a film.
I think that was the Poland.
We got interrogated.
John's right. It was the Poland one, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was it. And I mean, I'm this blonde girl in the back from Liverpool, and I'm just like, I'm just here to sing. And yeah, it was absolutely crazy, but like, what amazing memories. And if you remember the views as well, all we seen for 12 hours were just trees everywhere.
It was, I remember that. It was nothing. It was nothing but trees, was it? And and not forgetting the you know, I don't know why you're complaining, because I did have a reward system, didn't I? Because we had the 100-mile biscuit, didn't we? I gave you all of Fortnum and Mason biscuit.
Celebratory biscuit. You are good to us, Mark.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, don't let anyone forget that. Yeah, God, it was a colossally long drive. So for people watching, we did a gig in Estonia, and then we drove, stayed in quite a fun hotel in a rather weird sort of place, and then we drove early morning all the way into sort of deepest, darkest Poland in order to do a second show. We had a night the next night, but it took about 12-14 hours the journey, and then we did this. Then we sort of went to bed. Then we did a show the next night, and then it was quite a long drive back to the airport, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I remember it absolutely vividly. And of course, I can't let this moment go. But that genius moment, John, when we were trying to find the perfect joke.
Yes. I'll never forget the monkey joke. The monkey joke was one of the funniest things I have ever heard.
Oh yeah, the monkey joke. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't tell that now.
No.
No, but we might book you, so for those brave enough, when we've got a gig coming up, you might be able to tell it then. But I was thinking of the apple cake.
I was thinking of the apple cake.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, adopting the German baby.
That was the best.
It's honestly, I got such joy in that selfish way of a performer that everybody enjoyed the joke so much, because when you're telling a joke and you just really want people to like it, so when you sort of say this joke's a classic, and then it is, that is such a satisfaction,
That tagline up to now was the funniest thing I have heard as well. That was brilliant.
It's absolutely hysterical. It was one of the funniest moments.
It's lovely that when the baby finally does speak, that it's got a German accent. That's one of my little takeaways from the joke,
Yeah.
The first time when he goes Mother, Father is just fantastic. That's how I was told it with a kid. There's no reason for the kids to actually have a German accent.
No.
German people. But the fact that it goes Mother, Father, it's just phenomenal.
So we did those 2 gigs. So where else has everybody been? I mean, go on, John.
I loved Ballykinler when I went to Ireland for you.
Yeah,
that was absolutely superb. Because I met a couple of the young squaddies, they're 19, 20 years old, and one of them told me a story about the guy that he was with, and it still touches my soul when he, because basically the guy who he was with took the bullet that he thought that he was going to take, and it had blinded him. And he just said, and they were young men, and he just said, "I'll never leave him, I'll never leave him." And that just still now I think of that and think the bravery of these young men and women who are prepared to put their lives on the line to keep my children safe is just beyond words, really. But I don't really mean to sort of take the atmosphere down, but I think something like that that happened, and that's a truth, and that's a truth of what these young men and women go through, and the fact that you put on these shows, and I adore working these shows, and I adore working for you because we have such fun, and I get to meet people like Holly and unfortunately Kev, and
he's right.
I think, just to jump in, because that's what we do, isn't it? We hit upon it. We articulate public support, which is so important to them, and all the stuff we do around it and everything else. The shows are great and everything else, but the thing that really lives long is that people want us to go there, and actually by just that physicality, and I think lockdown has taught us about physicality, but that physicality of you guys going there and saying you're not forgotten, you embody the public support for what they do. I think it's so important.
I've got to say, Mark, if you don't mind me just jumping in there, I did think one of the best venues I've ever performed for the BFF was the Gibraltar Rock.
Oh yeah, spectacular, wasn't it?
That was spectacular to walk in to the actual rock, right?
Wow.
To walk down the stairs, and then to perform with Raymond and Timkins review, and perform in front of all these soldiers. But the cave was like something out of Indiana Jones. Like, it was the most insane thing I have ever experienced. I've got pictures of it, but when it's dark and it doesn't mean anything. But when those lights come on and it travels for miles and you see these little yellow lights all the way to the back, wow, that was an amazing gig. I was just blown away by that. That was an incredible one for me, to be honest with you. That and the amphitheater in Italy. But that amphitheater overlooking just the sea. Oh, what a view!
I'm surprised you have fond memories of that, because that was a particularly
that was a tough gig. But I was lucky, Mark. I was lucky because the boys and girls that had come to see us were so sweet. And then when I came out as this kind of innocent Armenian comic trying to make a living, I think they all felt sorry for me. So it was okay.
You totally smashed it, because we had, I can't tell you how many problems we had with the sound guy didn't turn up, so we had a budget from what we could find, and the little bit we brought with us. That was one of my years ago. It was one of my toughest gigs, but it
was a tough gig. It was a tough gig, but very rewarding. As John was saying and Holly was saying, they are one of the best gigs alive. Just to walk on stage and do what you do, and the love you get from total strangers is something else. It's totally something else. They really appreciate it.
But so briefly to wrap up, any other fond memories? Those are the Afghans and the. I was just trying to think. Have you done?
But it was me, wasn't it? Striking a deal with the Turks. Do you remember when I was in Afghanistan and they all came up and they were like, "So, are you Turkish?" I said, "No, I'm Armenian." And you can't really admit that in a country where you're with Turks, because they're military. And I was like, oh God. But I just went, "No, I'm Armenian." And they went, "Oh, brother, my cousin's Armenian and this and that, whatever." And then they start, liaising with me. Next thing I know, they're telling me to stay behind, and they'll take me back to where we're gonna fly off from, so I can sit down and have a Turkish coffee with them. It was absolutely brilliant. It was great.
Wow.
I remember it as well, because actually what you don't know, which I've never told you, is that they had a bit of a diplomatic problem with the Turks at the time within the camp, and they felt that they, a lot of things were very sort of Brit orientated. The guy said, the show, should they come to the show and everything else, we're desperate to get them. So I just sort of spoke to them, saying, "Oh, you must come." But then I asked you, could you speak the language? And you did part of your act in Turkish, which was deeply impressive. But Kev was chatting to them afterwards. They were They were very, very moved.
Oh.
You did more for unwittingly for diplomatic relations than you'll ever know. Actually, they were so appreciative of the sort of Brit guys. So good. Are you
That's
back?
amazing.
Oh God, what funny memories! You know, the apple cake, the monkey. I forgot
Yeah.
the monkey. I forgot about the monkey joke. I have to say.
Yeah.
Monkey was my favourite. Monkey was my favourite because we sat there in the car, all cuddled up. We had Holly between us, right? And there's John on one end, me on the other end, Holly in the middle, you with your biscuits, you know, and the other Mark. And then John starts this joke, and I have to tell you, I didn't know where it was going, and when it finished, I literally, I cried. That's how
you did
funny
cry.
Well, look. I mean, I'm gonna, because you're all a class act, and it was as road trips go, it was hugely enjoyable, and we were all dreading. And I don't think there are many people in the business who would sort of suck it up like you did. You know, like you're going to go to Estonia, but there is a catch. You know, I'll find the best hotel we can find, which was not particularly good, and we're then going to have to drive in a minibus, in a van.
You were amazing hotels. Yeah.
But I think you were all absolute troopers. You've all been troopers. You've all been absolute stars. And
can I just say one of my most amazing memories? Because I'll kick myself if I forget. The last show that I did with the BFF, we were actually on water, and it was for the Queen Elizabeth, the
aircraft
world's largest warship. And I mean, I know we've been on like so many hour car journeys and stuff, but Mark forgot to tell us that we had to get on a speedboat to join it. And the guys were getting like a proper thrill out of it. I mean, the guys at the Navy, they were just absolutely unbelievable. Like, I actually cried. Like, it's so emotional, but you want to be the happy face, don't you? You want to boost the morale and everything. But I actually cried at the end of that one because it was their homecoming, and it was just the most amazing experience to have done a show for them the night before, and then you know, we docked, and we seen all the family queuing up with banners and stuff, and they hadn't seen their family in months, and it was just like, oh my God, they were thanking us and wanting pictures with us, but we were like, oh, look at the sacrifice that you guys have done.
What Holly's just said, I think it's really important that we have such an absolute laugh doing what we do with you, but then you have those really poignant moments as well, and that's what makes these tours so special for me, and I'm sure for Kevin and Holly too, that you just think, we were screaming with laughter, and then something like that will happen, and that's what I take away from it is that kind of yin and yang, that you have such fun, and then you see this sacrifice that these young men and women are making for us, and they're the men I'll take away from my job more than some clubs that I play, even though some of the clubs that I play are fabulous. But they're the memories that will stay with you longest, I think, because they have that emotional roller coaster, and so I can't thank you enough for bringing that into my personal experience, into my life. I genuinely mean that, Mark. Thank you.
Well, that's a very good way to finish it. Thank you. Don't all go away, but I'm going to stop the recording. But before I do, I just want to say, you know, I would not have been doing this for 21 years if I didn't get the opportunity to share it with such fabulous people, of which I count all three of you amongst. So thank you very much indeed.